Other guys, God bless you and thank you for checking in. Well, the Pope's been at it again. Pope Francis says alcoholics, autistic and disabled people should be euthanized to fight climate change. Pope Francis has thrown his weight behind the World Economic Forum's campaign to euthanize people with autism, alcoholism and other minor illnesses and disabilities to help humanity fight so-called climate change. According to Francis, reducing the world's population will help solve what he claims is the existential problem of climate change and restore nature to its position of primacy in the world order. Pope Francis' comments have caused a storm in the Vatican, but should they really be surprised by his support for the Klaus Schwab Nazi-styled eugenics program? As an agenda contributor at the World Economic Forum, Pope Francis is fluent in blasphemy and is actively working to subvert the Church and Christianity in general. While Pope Francis has declared that we should not judge paedophiles because they have a mysterious illness and a special place in heaven, he is not so lenient when it comes to people with autism, alcoholism or other minor illnesses. But should we really be surprised by Francis's position? This is the Pope who takes every opportunity to declare the Bible is wrong, after all. He kicked off his papacy by declaring evolution and the Big Bang Theory were real. This is the Pope who informed his flock that relationships with Jesus are dangerous and harmful. Breaking with centuries of Christian tradition, Pope Francis sparked fears that he is an illegitimate pope with a sinister agenda when he told a crowd of 33,000 pilgrims in St. Peter's Square in Rome that, quote, a personal, direct, immediate relationship with Jesus Christ must be avoided at all cost.
Nella Chiesa non esiste il fai da te, non esistono battitori liberi. Quante volte Papa Benedetto ha descritto la Chiesa come un noi ecclesiale. Talvolta capita di sentire qualcuno dire io credo in Dio, credo in Gesù, ma la Chiesa non mi interessa. Quante volte abbiamo sentito questo? Questo non va. C'è chi ritiene di poter avere un rapporto personale, diretto, immediato con Gesù Cristo, al di fuori della comunione e della meditazione della Chiesa. Sono tentazioni pericolose, sono tentazioni dannose, sono, come diceva il grande Paolo VI, dicotomie assurde.
Pope Francis's upside-down version of Christianity is puzzling for many. However, his dark agenda becomes much easier to understand when you realize who the pontiff is really serving. To quote French presidential candidate Marine Le Pen, Pope Francis is, quote, a globalist bulldog who is loyal to the New World Order. In 2017, Pope Francis called for a one world government and political authority, arguing that the creation of the one world government is needed to combat issues such as climate change. Speaking with Ecuador's El Universo newspaper, the Pope said that the United Nations does not have enough power and must be granted full governmental control for the good of humanity. It's interesting what we're seeing them guys do at the moment, what they're rolling out. According to the Pope, Americans must be ruled by a world government for their own good as a matter of urgency. Now, Pope Francis is actively defying biblical scripture by working to create a one-world religion known as Chrislam. In 2019, Pope Francis signed a historic covenant with leaders of the world's major faiths, pushing us all much closer to a one-world religion, one of the major goals of the New World Order. According to the document produced by Pope Francis and published on the Vatican's official website, all religions must be considered equal, and Islam is as acceptable to God as Christianity. Not. Klaus Schwab's agenda to normalize state euthanasia, supported by Pope Francis, has real-world consequences. People are now dying against their will, joining the long list of millions of people murdered by the far leftist governments in history. The history books will tell you the Soviet Gulag state murdered 61 million citizens. The Mao's communist Chinese anthill murdered 35 million Chinese, and the Nazi genocide state murdered upwards of 20 million people. If Klaus Schwab gets his way, his far-left technocratic regime will eclipse these records. According to the World Economic Forum's depopulation agenda, billions must die. Schwab has penetrated the governments of most Western democracies, turning them into authoritarian dictatorships in which he is the invisible dictator, pulling the puppet strings of compromised leaders like Macron in France and Trudeau in Canada. Macron's France, fully infiltrated by the World Economic Forum and being destroyed from the inside, is not far behind Canada, and the World Economic infiltrated Dutch government has begun euthanizing citizens, including children under the age of 12, because they have minor disabilities, autism, or suffer from alcoholism. According to the government, euthanizing these people will help save the planet. The Netherlands is one of the most Davos-friendly nations in the world, and the current government has embraced Klaus Schwab's vision of a depopulated world by any means necessary. Wasn't it also Bill Gates that said something about this particular process?
Is spending $1 million on that last 3 months of life for that patient, would it be better not to lay off those 10 teachers and to make that trade-off in medical costs? But that's called the death panel, and you're not supposed to have that discussion. So you, of course,
Well,
we're
that's
making...
an interesting...